Ted Nugent is one opinionated man, and he shares some of those opinions in his book, Ted, White and Blue, The Nugent Manifesto. And Ted Nugent joins me now. Ted Nugent.
Greetings. How are you, Piers?
I'm looking forward to this.
Thanks for having me here, man.
I'm going to say, for probably all the wrong reasons, I've been looking forward to this. It's like meeting a kind of...
There are no wrong reasons.
Television matador. I've seen all your previous interviews.
And you're the bull? I'm the matador?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure which one is the bull.
I'll guide you through this.
You're confident, are you?
Yes. Have you noticed that?
You think you're going to take me down?
No, not at all. Are you needing to be taken? If you need to be taken down, I shall respond.
No, but I read a great line where you gave this
All my lines are
interview.
great, but go ahead.
You gave an interview to some guy on a BBC show.
Boy, did they need me there, huh?
And just to describe how you thought things went with this British interview, you said, they sent this young limey prick who pretended to be my friend. He tried to, with me, on all these politically incorrect levels. I gutted him. I danced on his skull.
But before I gutted him
on my skull?
But before I gutted him and danced on his skull, I was so hospitable and loving and welcoming him to the Nugent tribe that when he tried his little tricks on me and his leftist thing to get against my hunting and my guns, for example, how could I not gut him? But I gutted him with tender, loving care and with truth and logic. And even at the end, he finally went, "Uncle!" It was beautiful, because I'm right, he was wrong. It's the story of my life.
Yeah, I mean, you have this completely, I don't know, irrefutable self-logic that everything you say is right.
Yeah, and your point would be what?
My point would be, I mean, do you ever accept that you might be wrong?
Mrs. Nugent's here. Was there a time? Let's put it this way. I'm 63. I've been clean and sober my whole life. I was raised in a hardcore, disciplined environment to be the best that I can be and not guess at things, but to study evidence, study conditions, be aware of my cause and effect, and make a decision not based on what felt good or what was comfortable for me, but rather what lessons of life taught me. So when I put forth what people call an opinion, I mean, and you stop me if you disagree with my opinion, I'm sure you will, but I don't project opinions as much as I do share observations of life's realities and the evidence that brings either a quality of life when adhered and learned from, or destroyed life when ignored and not learned.
What's your view of America right now?
My view of America right now is so beautiful I can hardly stand myself. Now, that being said, we want to celebrate the good while we scrutinize and put our heart and soul into fixing the bad and ugly. So there's lots of good. Americans are still producing and still giving. We have the terrible victims of the floods now on the Mississippi. We have the terrible victims of the fires in Texas. We have the tragedy of the victims of the tornadoes in the South. You know what I think about America? Unlimited generosity. People traveling thousands of miles to help people they don't even know. That's the glowing, unstoppable
What don't you like about America?
I don't like about America is what is being celebrated in politics, where instead of being the best that you can be, we seem to be engineering more and more safety nets, which creates, encourages, and rewards an uncaring disconnect.
What do you mean safety nets?
Well, safety nets, welfare, for example. Welfare isn't just about helping the needy anymore. Welfare is now about rewarding people who take advantage of the corruption and abuse of that condition. That's more widespread than actual needy people getting help. I don't know how often you shop around this country or how often you hang out with people around this country, but it is not, like the president said, the America he doesn't know that people are using food stamps for something other than good nutrition. You gotta be kidding me! We've got a bunch of idiots out there that are absolutely raping and pillaging and otherwise positive humanitarian system.
One of the problems, and I've studied your work for a while.
And no wonder you glow. You have a certain glow.
Well, I admire the passion you bring to it. I've no problem with people having opinions, even if I don't agree with some of them. My issue about you and the welfare thing is to me, it showed no sense of compassion for people who have genuine problems, who genuinely need it. Your judgment, if you don't mind me saying, is all-encompassing. It's all sweeping. You think they're all on the fiddle.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think, I know, and the statistics support, once again, my sharing with you the statistics, that the abuse, the corruption in that system is not about helping someone who, through no fault of their own, fell on hard times, but widespread abuse.
Yeah, but I've said you say you don't have a welfare system for armed forces people, for example.
Well, certainly, I've always raved that the most important, the most deserving are the children who, through no fault of their own, encounter horrible diseases and conditions, and the heroes of the military who literally knowingly went into harm's way to sacrifice their limbs.
Which
so
I agree with, and I have a brother who's in the British Army.
But let me put it this way, real simple.
Let me finish my thread on that.
All right.
I have a brother who's in the Army, so I totally subscribe to your view of the forces. But that doesn't mean to say that they are any less susceptible to being corrupt when it comes to welfare than anybody else, does it?
No, not at all. In fact, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of waste in even those government programs. I mean, I know a lot of guys, my wife and my family and I do charity work for military heroes all the time. And I got guys with no legs that went into that war on terror hellstorm knowing that they would probably not come out without any legs or arms and maybe in a flag-draped coffin, but they went anyway because that's the warrior spirit that they have. And they're still waiting for their prosthetics. They're still waiting for the special wheelchair. But maybe there's some child rapist in prison who's getting a new liver transplant this week. That's the corruption, the abuse in a most outrageous
you're very pro the troops, and I get that. But you yourself, I mean, you dodged the draft in Vietnam.
No, now see, I'm glad we're here on the Piers Morgan Show to set that straight for the 10 millionth time.
Set the record straight.
No, I did not dodge the trap. I was 17, and I was a clueless idiot, which most 17s qualify. I bet you were.
No, I was quite smart.
Being that as it may, no, I was enrolled in Oakland Community College, and I had a 1Y deferment. Did I register? And I registered. Did I volunteer? No. Should I have? Yes.
Do you regret that?
You know, I do regret it on one level. On the most important, fundamental level, is that I have a duty to earn this experiments in we the people's self-government. And I've spent my time, and I've intentionally put myself in harm's way going over to Iraq and Afghanistan, right into the hell zones of unnamed trenches and the Afghanistan danger zones. I did that.
Is part of that a guilt thing on your part?
No, not a guilt thing. It was just the right thing to do. At some point, you know, let's pretend I was a heroin addict when I was 17. Would you bring that up if I've been clean and sober for 50 years?
Probably, yeah.
You're such a bastard. But see, I wouldn't. I would say, my God, you haven't done that stupid thing in so long. Let's stick with the clean and sober longevity instead of going back and nitpicking of something that you obviously overcame. So I was a foolish young man who didn't understand. Well, how's this, Piers? When I graduated from how old are you?
I'm 46.
All right, I know you respect your elders. I'll be 63. When I graduated, if you said, so, Mr. Nugent, tell me all about communism, I'd go, isn't that where the hippies get together and live? I was clueless. In my American education upbringing, I never heard about communism. I didn't know anything about it. So you think I regret not making a decision based on not knowing anything? And I've made up for it since. Not through guilt, but through the maturity of finally knowing what the right thing to do is. And though I was a little bit late, I at least carried my own M16 when I was over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that all sounds very heroic. I mean, the truth is that when
I wasn't heroic. When the guys that are there all the time.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you had the option when you were young to go to Vietnam. You could have done that.
I know. I was too young and stupid.
And when I see the way you are now with the armed forces and the fact that
how about they call the guys a chicken hawk? I was 17 and 18. Why don't you give me a break? That was, 50 years ago, kids?
But lots of
40-some years ago.
Lots of 17 and 18-year-olds at the time went to war in Vietnam.
Better people than I. Better men than I.
And so I just come back once more to the motivation for why you now do so much stuff.
Because I've learned that freedom is not free, and I found that the reason the whole world sucks and America sucks less is because the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, outlines an experiment where freedom rules the day of individuality, and that can only be secured by crushing those enemies that would take it away. So those warriors that put themselves in the face of that evil enemy, and anybody who would take away our individual rights and our individual freedoms, they're the enemy. They need to be killed. And the guys that went over and did that, they paid the ultimate sacrifice. I've done so many benefits for so many families of dead heroes of the military. I've held so many kids and mothers crying. I've carried flag-draped coffins home from Baghdad. You don't have to do that much. But if you had your time again, I'm going to go to a break now. If you had a time again, I suspect now, the Ted Nugent you've become, you'd go to Vietnam, wouldn't you? Damn right I would. So would that be, in your eyes, the biggest mistake of your life, do you think? No, because that was... Is there any nobler sacrifice? There is no nobler sacrifice, none. But you have to be wise enough, knowledgeable enough to make such a noble decision, and I was incapable of both at that age. Okay, we're going to have a short break. When we come back, I want to talk to you politics, Tea Party. I love those things. President Obama. I love race for the White House. I'm ready to
All
rock.
of it. You ready to roll?
You bet.
I mean,
Piers, don't go. Wait a second. Did you enjoy that or didn't you?
no, I'm amused by your reaction. You're still finding that hilarious.
You're not being amused. It's hilarious. I'm on a rock and roll stage. I just sang a song about feisty. I mean, you got to be kidding me. On a rock. Did you ever see Richard Pryor live? How about Sam Kinison? How about Lenny Bruce? I'm one of them. Get over it. That's some funny.
But for a man who is a patriot, who purports to love his country. That was quite shocking disrespect to your president.
Let me put it in official CNN Piers Morgan
Yes.
interview terms. Shall I?
Yes.
My limey friend?
Yes.
Anybody that wants to disarm me can drop dead. Anybody that wants to make me unarmed and helpless, people that want to literally create the proven places where more innocents are killed, called gun-free zones, we're going to beat you. We're going to vote you out of office or suck on my machine gun.
Yes, but
you can take it whichever way you want.
Much as I'd love to suck on your machine gun, the whole point of your defense is that a lot of people do drop dead precisely because you are armed to the teeth and you'd like everybody else to be.
Not true at all.
80 people.
Write this down. See, you're so rich.
You write this down. 80 people a day die in America from gunshots.
And 75 of them to 78 of them, statistics by the Uniform Crime Report by the FBI and the UN study on violent crime, 78 of those 80 are let out of their cages by corrupt judges and prosecutors who know that recidivism is out of control, know that they'll commit the crimes again, and they let them walk through plea bargaining, early release, and program.
They still
Kiss
can't...
my ass.
Yeah.
Where you have the most armed citizens in America, you have the lowest violent crime rate. Where you have the worst gun control, you have the highest crime rate. Piers, choose one. Do you want a lot of crime? We have it. Gun-free zones. Do you want less crime? We have that. More people with concealed weapons permit. Why do you guys resist that statistic?
Well, don't say you guys.
It's you guys.
No.
Well, unless you're playing the devil's advocate.
I can play any advocate I like.
You're
it's
doing
my
a fine
show.
job.
Right.
You're playing the idiot's advocate here.
That's not the idiot's
More
advocate.
guns equals less crime. Period.
Unless I'm wrong, and I don't want to kiss
I'll be sure to let you know
your ass at this point, if you don't mind. Unless I'm wrong with your argument, well, you're basically saying that 90% of the gun crime comes from people let out of prison.
It's 96%, by the way, but go ahead.
But they still have to get access to firearms. If you had your way, there would be 10 times as many firearms, right?
Not true at all.
You want everyone in America to own a gun?
Not at all. I've never said that.
What's your position?
And I got to tell you,
what is your position?
And I hope you don't edit this out. Whenever I've done interviews with guys that are inclined to be anti-gun, they always go, well, Nugent wants everybody to have a machine gun. Nugent wants all the deer dead.
What does Nugent want?
Not even close.
What do you want?
What I want is the Second Amendment. We, the people, free individuals to have the right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. Find fault with that.
Oh, well, I can find lots of fault with it.
Name one.
Well, the reality is...
I'll write one down.
Well, you end up with what happened to Gabby Giffords in Tucson earlier this year.
That guy had gone through the cracks of the mental health system. That guy had given all kinds...
How could he be allowed to get a gun?
Because he fell through the cracks, and he didn't qualify to get a gun.
He fell through the cracks.
The cracks of the mental health system. Everybody knew, all his friends, his family was afraid of this guy, but they didn't report it. Nobody reacted to it.
When you see a guy like that, get open access to firearms, because the Constitution that you subscribe adhere to so much.
How would you fix that?
Well, I would certainly make it a lot harder for people like him to ever get near a firearm. And that's my argument with the gun lobby, is that it's always very, very aggressive. And even as you've just exploded with me, it's always a violent debate. And it's always like, I want the right to shoot anyone that comes near me who's threatening me. But it's always about that. This guy was unstable, but was able to go and get a firearm because they are freely available in this country. And that's where I have a problem with it.
Were you born in England?
I was born in England.
Okay, are you familiar with Ireland?
I am.
Is Molotov cocktails and C4 explosive, those legal in Belfast?
They're terrorists.
Are those items legal in Belfast?
Well, I don't live in Belfast.
Well, then I'll go ahead and educate you. They're banned in Belfast. They're forbidden in Belfast. Do you think anybody had a hard time getting them? If you want something, how about in New York City?
It doesn't mean
It'd take me 15 minutes for me to get a submachine gun in New York City from some paroled crack dealer.
Let me spin the argument. Would you allow drugs then to be freely available?
Not at all.
What's the difference in the argument?
Because drugs are 100% about reducing your level of responsibility, getting high, disconnecting. And I'm a cop. I've been a cop for 35 years. I conduct federal raids with the heroes of law enforcement in Texas. In every instance where there is violence, somebody's high on something. But they're not always in possession of a firearms. They do it with Buicks and bricks and fire and chainsaws and pipes.
The guy who shot Gabby Giffords wasn't high. So it wasn't a factor.
No, but he was mentally deranged.
My point about the thread of your argument is you're saying there's a difference, isn't there, between you're saying guns should be made freely available. Right?
No, there should be restrictions.
Let me put something to you. If you think it's wrong, tell me. They should be made available with some restrictions, but not many, from the gun lobby arguments I've read.
Which exists right now.
The reason is if you made them illegal, they'd all be freely available anyway. But with drugs, you say do not make them freely available, make them illegal, even though you know and I know that drives them underground and probably more people get access to them.
Piers, I don't know why you guys either don't study the information or you just resist it. I think you're resisting it. In America, where you have more citizens with guns on their person, you have a dramatic reduction in violent crime. In those areas called gun-free zones, you have a outrageous increase in the loss of innocent lives. That's the choice. Which one would you make? And in America, legally owned guns are used millions of times a year to save innocent lives. You certainly don't believe in calling 911 to stop evil in your home, do you? You don't believe that being unarmed and helpless is a desirable condition? You think unarmed and helpless is something you can control over me? That's weird.
Well, you're putting a lot of words into my mouth. What I do believe is where you dramatically increase the prevalence of guns, more people will die from guns.
No,
and you don't believe that.
Not only do I believe the FBI doesn't believe it. The FBI recent report, in those jurisdictions where more people have concealed weapons permits, that doesn't mean a gun in the truck or in the safe. It means a gun in their belt. In those jurisdictions, you have not only a dramatic decrease in violent crime, but a personal assault type crimes, carjacking, rape, home invasions. They don't just go down, Pierce. They go away. Now that you know that, why wouldn't you help me create more safe areas?
When we come back, we'll talk about what we're supposed to be talking about, which is President Obama.
I'm with you.
There are bigger fish to fry than white-tailed deer right now. And the fried fish are the corrupt, power-abusing monsters that have weaseled their way into our lives and that control our paychecks and decide to take money from the people who work so hard and give it to idiots.
I like that cowboy.
Well, I like the hat too. There was a Sarah Palin rally. Who, from what I can read, she's the only one you have any time for in the GOP, right?
No, I admire a lot of them. I have the greatest governor in the world. My governor shoots coyotes. What does yours do?
He doesn't shoot coyotes.
He's a great man.
But let me show you a few pictures here. Let's go through the GOP candidates as we stand.
Well-groomed young man.
Mitt Romney, your thoughts?
A good man. Not great enough.
Too good for you?
When did Mr. Rogers open up the school of articulation? This guy needs to grow some nuts. This guy doesn't have any passion. We need to get somebody with some feisty attitude. We're in a terrible condition right now. We don't need to be very careful about our articulation.
Here's a guy with passion.
He does have some passion.
And he's got nuts.
And he does have some nuts, and I admire that. I don't think he's presidential.
Did you agree with him about the birther issue?
I agree that we should be able to demand evidence, and I, like he and many others, I had not seen the official document, and I think we, the people, should be able to demand of our
Have you seen
elected
Sarah
officials.
Palin?
I have not seen it, but she's not president.
Why aren't you demanding to see hers?
If she runs for president, I would.
No, but some would say that the only reason people wanted to see Obama is because he's an African-American.
And isn't that offensive? Isn't that pathetic that they have to reduce it to a race issue? That is the most evil, rotten, soulless condition in America, that as soon as you disagree with someone of a different color, that the racist accusations fly. That is soulless, inaccurate, and wrong.
Fine. Have you ever asked to see the birth certificate of any other president or presidential candidate?
No, I haven't.
Why not?
I was never active enough in politics.
Why is it so important?
Because the question came up whether it existed. Here's what I would expect, Piers, and I think, are you an American citizen now?
Not yet.
Well, I'll help you.
A British citizen.
Just hanging out with me is a feather in your cap.
It's probably putting me off.
Somebody
actually.
bring him a gun. What we need to do in this country is do what the Tea Party is doing. Get our heads out of our ass and get involved. This experiment in self-government demands that we all participate. Now we're getting more involved, but I would like to believe that there is a legislature, that there are senators and congressmen that would make sure the guy that's president qualifies. Call me weird. I didn't think the guitar players had to check these guys out. So then once the question came up, many of us wanted to ask that question.
Fine. If you're so determined to get these questions answered, when are you going to start asking where Sarah Palin's birth certificate is? Just to balance things out.
The minute she runs for president.
You will?
Absolutely. I would say at this point in time, we have now established we need to see the proof that you're qualified, no matter who it is.
Great. So you would like to see every candidate now produce...
I think we need to... Either that or create a panel, a government panel that hopefully we could trust. Wait a minute. Never mind. Yeah, I would want to see it.
Are you an American? Were you born here?
Hopelessly, yes.
I've got a feeling you probably were.
Yeah, good feeling.
Hard to imagine you being born anywhere else.
You have some instincts. Are you a predator?
Newt Gingrich?
Probably the smartest guy out there. And when he speaks for me.
Would you vote for him?
Right now, yes.
Interesting. Tim Pawlenty.
A great man. Did great things up there in Minnesota. Am I right? Minnesota? Great man. When he speaks logic. He speaks Constitution and Bill of Rights. I like that.
Why are you such a big fan of Sarah Palin?
Because it's the quintessential American politics. And let me run you down the timeline. Housewife, mother, Alaska, taking care of homes. Saw some politics that she didn't think was right. Started asking questions, found out that her hunches were right and that there was corruption and there was misdirection in the local government of, I believe, Wasilla, Alaska, right next to Trappers Creek where I bear hunt. And she got involved as just a citizen. She became mayor because she voiced concerns that were supported by the majority of her neighbors. Pure politics, American we the people politics personified. And then she identified other corruption and less than ideal performance by politicians. She became governor with the support of the majority. A housewife, mayor, governor, and then brought in, I never even heard of her until my buddy John wanted her to be the vice presidential candidate. And then I did some research and I went, no wonder I like Alaska so much. You had an ass kicker in there, had somebody taking care of business, fixing things, getting rid of wasteful taxes and demanding accountability. So I admire Sarah Palin across the board. Great woman, perfect American.
Other than that, you're quite keen, eh?
Other than that, what?
You're quite keen on that.
Yes, I'm keen on that. Plus, she's so good looking.
I need a break after that quite nauseating tribute. So we'll have a short break,
You're
Ted.
damn right you need a break.
When we come back,
take a break, Piers. I'll be right here.
When we come back, we're going to talk to you about homophobia. That should fire you up a bit.
I'm sorry to hear you're having that problem. Oh. I can help you with that. I'm gay.
There are all kinds of different people in the world. That's what makes the world special. So whether someone is different than you, and race,
ethnicity,
political beliefs, religion, or sexual orientation, words can be hurtful. Replace them with understanding, compassion, and acceptance. Let's make this a better world for all of us. Because we're all in this together.
Amen. I like it. We're all in this together, Piers.
Well, yeah, they said that Kobe Bryant was fined $100,000 for using a gay slur during a Lakers game. And Ted, you wrote a piece afterwards, and I'm going to read what you said here. You said that homosexuals are the most protected class of people in America. And you said, and I quote, the NBA should hold homosexual night, and during halftime, the homosexuals could come down on the court, hold hands, and prance around the court to music by the village people. You also said that homosexuality was morally wrong.
Do you have a problem with that?
It's just bigoted old claptrap, isn't
You're
it?
Claptrap.
Claptrap.
That's like Clapton trap. No, let's put it this way. If you're gay, have a nice day. I could give a rat's ass.
Are you homophobic?
Not at all.
Would you be happy if one of your...
I'm heterophiliac.
What's a heterophilia?
That means I'm hopelessly addicted to women.
Right.
Woman.
If one of your children came home and said, Dad, I'm gay, how would you react to that?
I'd say, get the gun, let's go kill a deer. Inconsequential.
You wouldn't mind, morally?
No, not at all. I'm repulsed at the concept of man-on-man sex. I think it's against nature. I think it's strange as hell. But if that's what you are, I love you.
But do you believe it's morally wrong? You have suggested that before.
You know, I'm not going to judge another's morals.
You judge people all the time.
Sometimes you have to. I have to judge my bass player. That's why I've got the greatest bass player in the world. No, I say live and let live. Like I said, gay, go nuts. Martians, cool. I really don't care what.
If one of your kids, for argument's sake, came back and said, "Look, Dad,"
and I wish you could meet all my kids. They're all wonderful.
I'd love to. I'm sure they'd be very entertaining if I like you. But if they came back and said, "Right, Dad, I've got some bad news. I'm gay. I'm a vegan. I don't believe in hunting. I don't believe in firearms."
Go nuts.
Happy?
I'm absolutely happy.
Welcoming?
Ultimately,
family values guy, in you come?
Ultimately, all that stuff is inconsequential for the spirit of an individual.
Well,
I have friends that are vegans, and we love each other.
See, but this
I have friends that are gay.
but wait,
I have friends that hate guns.
This doesn't
but I'm going to fix them.
But hey, it's a quaint old thing where if there aren't any guns, nobody gets shot.
And if there isn't any water, no one will drown. Tell you what, you work in the guns and stop the gun.
You're right.
I work in the water, so no one drowns anymore.
You're right.
I'll see you at noon. It's impossible.
If there is no water, nobody does drown.
Wow.
You're right.
Then let's ban water, Piers.
There's no sunshine.
Bridge
nobody
over
gets sunburned.
Get lost. You're weird. That's impossible. You
not
can't
weird.
ban water and you can't ban guns. Can't do it.
Why would you ban water?
To stop the drownings. We want the poor fat children
Now
to
you're just
float.
being facetious.
No, I'm being absolute. If you can ban guns, I'll ban water. If you can get rid of guns, I'll get rid of water.
I don't necessarily want to ban guns.
Impossible.
What I don't like is the kind of violent rhetoric of the gun lobby to say that their way is the only way. And actually, all these statistical...
Well, let me put it this way, really loving. My way is the only way. How gentle was that? My way is about I, as a free man, have the right to defend myself. And I got to tell you, I'm scared to death of people like you who might tell me I'm not allowed to defend myself. Because write this down. I am allowed to defend myself.
I didn't say you couldn't. What do you think makes a proper American?
A proper American?
Yeah.
Start with a positive spirit, really a Herculean work ethic. Not just a work ethic, but one that drives. If you met all my family and all my friends, my band, my team, my management, everybody, they get up early. They kick ass all day long. They cover every detail. They wallpaper, carpet bomb, get the job done, and then boom, we go to bed later at night. And we set the alarm and we get up and start over again. That is the quintessential American, knowing that by effort and by dedication and focus and the drive for excellence, that the rewards will come your way according to your dedication. That's the American dream.
I like passionate people.
I'm a passionate
I reserve my right to disagree with you a few things, but I like the passion with which you argue.
And especially when the passion is founded on such positive forces. I just want to play killer rock and roll. It's perfect. I just want to go hunting and balance the herbivores.
Why don't we end on a moment of accord, right? Where you play a bit of rock and roll, which I know I will enjoy. And Ted, let me thank you first.
All right.
For
Piers Morgan, sing this with me, would you?
Fascinating encounter.
Are you ready?
Off you go.
I love my barbecue. It's what the Limeys do. Pull up a chair, I'll get a beer for you. I love my barbecue. It's what the Americans do. Pull up a chair, I'll get a beer for you. Well, the tofu just might kill you, baby. Toss salad make you weak. I like to kill 'em and grill 'em, baby. It's protein that we seek. I said something's gonna die. I love my barbecue.